So it's been 1 month since the Switch 2 came out, and I've had lots of time, and I mean lots of time to play with it. So in my day job, obviously, content creation is a hobby of mine. With me being an educator, it's the summertime, so I have lots of time on my hands. So this console couldn't have launched at a better time for me to really dive in and play the games that I wanted to play on it. And of course, like any new technology that you get on your hands, you never want to put it down. But eventually, the novelty will wear off. And with the Switch 2, it already has, to be expected. A month later, the novelty has worn off. But do I truly still enjoy it? How much do I play it? How much have I played? And do I still think it's worth it a month later? This was my first console that I had ever pre-ordered and that I ever got on launch day. In fact, I didn't know if I was going to be able to pre-order this or not. And I didn't even plan on pre-ordering it. I planned on going to the store day one and see if I could get lucky to get my hands on one. But I actually got lucky enough to not only pre-order one, but pre-order two. One for myself and one for a friend of mine who was not so lucky, so he just sent me his money and I was able to pre-order his for him. I streamed the whole thing. I streamed the unboxing. I played lots of Mario Kart World. It was like, felt kind of nostalgic. It felt like a Christmas morning back when I was a kid and I got something that I really had been wanting for a long time. And it was very exciting just to think that this small little device was going to be able to run Cyberpunk 2077. I even grabbed my OLED and compared the two. And when I grabbed my OLED, it felt like a toy. The Joy-Cons are so small, and the Joy-Con 2s are such a massive improvement to the system. Still not the best controllers in the world, but I can definitely vibe with the Joy-Cons, and the Joy-Cons, I feel like these Joy-Cons I will actually enjoy using for once. Because on the Switch one, to be honest with you, Joy-Con 1s are garbage. Horrible controllers. Probably one of the worst controllers Nintendo's ever made, to be honest, in my honest opinion. And obviously, when I first turned on the console, I noticed the background music. Man, music is absolute fire. I'm actually genuinely disappointed that Nintendo did not give us an option to keep that music on in the background while on the menu. Like, just keep it on. Give us an option. Like, as soon as we were done setting it up, like, it should ask you, do you want to keep the music on? Because I definitely would have picked yes, because this music is just such a freaking vibe. I even said it in my unboxing video that 8 years from now, that music is going to be incredibly nostalgic. And of course, the very first game that I decided to play was Mario Kart World. After 10 plus years, we've been waiting for a new entry in the Mario Kart series. And of course, this one had a new twist to it, an open world. People were worried, was it going to be boring with the straight lines? And obviously, we just had an update recently where Nintendo, that when you choose random, instead of it being a guaranteed 3-lap track, there's a chance it now picks one of the intermissions, and it makes the chances of it being a 3-lap track lower, and the chances of getting an intermission track are much higher. And of course, for the hardcore Mario Kart community, especially the competitive community, they were not happy about this. Me personally, I like the intermission tracks. Some intermissions are better than others. I get why some people hate some of the intermissions. Like, I'd be honest with you, most of the intermissions to Koopa Troopa Beach are trash. I don't like those intermissions. I think the intermission going to Boo Cinema is absolutely cinema. Because Boo Lake is part of, like, it's kind of like a little Easter egg map that leads into Boo Cinema, which I think is fantastic. And of course, I didn't forget this part, don't worry. The most controversial thing about Mario Kart World was the price. $80 freaking dollars for this game. Holy crap. Like, I was taken back by it. I was like, are you serious? 80 bucks? Now, luckily for me, I pre-ordered the bundle, so I avoided paying the $80 at all costs. I can see why a lot of people were kind of pissed off about that, because I'm like, man, $80 for a video game? Like, to me, I'm still kind of on the fence about it. I see both sides of the argument. I see why people are like, well, this is going to be the next Mario Kart for over a decade. Like, it's $80, but there's not going to be another Mario Kart for probably another 10 years. And that's probably true. So $80 for a game that's going to be supported for 10 plus years, I can kind of see why people might think that that's worth it. But for some people, I can see why people are taken back by that, because obviously things are more expensive, the economy, blah, blah, blah. You know, people have jobs, people don't play video games for a living, so not everybody can afford it. So I definitely see the argument behind that. I don't know if Nintendo's going to do a price drop. Apparently there's a rumor that some of the investors have kind of been taken back by how high of a price the Nintendo Switch is. I personally think the price is fair for the console itself. Games, that's another story. I'm still kind of torn on that. There were also other games that I wanted to test out as well. Believe it or not, I got Cyberpunk 2077 again. I already have it on my PS5, and I put lots of hours on it on my PlayStation Portal, because I actually do own a PlayStation Portal, and playing Cyberpunk handheld on that has been awesome. But obviously with the PlayStation Portal, it's not perfect. The PlayStation Portal is a streaming device. It's not native, so it streams everything from your PS5 over Wi-Fi to your PlayStation Portal. And if your internet is garbage, or you go somewhere and that place that you go to has terrible Wi-Fi, well, then you pretty much have a $200 paperweight that you're holding. But buying it on the Switch 2, I was kind of skeptical. I was like, man, I don't know how it's going to perform, because even when I first heard that Cyberpunk 2077 was going to be on the Switch, I was like, that might be an impossible port. The first impossible port of the Switch 2's life cycle is here, Cyberpunk 2077. But after playing it, I was actually impressed. I was actually blown away at how good Cyberpunk ran on the Switch 2. I was like, dang. I was like, CD Projekt Red really did a great job on this port. And even after sinking a couple hours into Cyberpunk 2077, I've been too busy playing other games. I'm still going to play Cyberpunk 2077. I'm going to finish my playthrough on that. But there's just so many other stuff I've been playing. But honestly, in handheld mode, playing Cyberpunk 2077, there were some parts where it felt like it was 60 FPS. Obviously, it does not run at 60 FPS. That's a disclaimer. There is a performance mode where it allows you to play it at 40 FPS, because if you play on quality mode, it runs at 30, but you can bump it up to 40. Some places, it feels like 60 with how smooth the game feels, especially with the input lag. I really have not experienced much input lag with the Pro Controller or with the Joy-Cons. To me, it feels very responsive. With how responsive that game feels, there's some areas where it feels like it's more than 40. I think CD Projekt Red should put on a masterclass for all the devs trying to bring ambitious ports to the Switch 2, and CD Projekt Red should teach all those devs how to port games correctly and how to make games run and look good on the Switch 2, because if Cyberpunk looks this good and runs this good on the Switch 2, then I think there are lots of other possibilities for other big third-party games that are super ambitious with graphics and performance that can come to the Switch 2. Now, obviously, there was other games that I wanted to play. And another game that I wanted to play is Fortnite. And Fortnite has been really fun to play as well. I actually sunk in over 100 hours on Fortnite on the Switch 1, especially during COVID. I played a lot of Fortnite on the Switch 1. You may be asking, why the heck would you torture yourself playing Fortnite on the Switch 1? And honestly, I don't know how I did it either, with how bad that game ran on the Switch 1. Oh my god. But the primary reason why I played so much Fortnite on the Switch 1 was because lobbies. The lobbies, believe it or not, there's this whole stigma. Are Switch lobbies easier? Are terrible players on the Switch? And the truth is, yes, the Switch lobbies are truly easier. I kid you not. After playing lots of Fortnite on the Switch 1, I've played it on PC, I've played it on PS5. The Switch lobbies by far are the easiest lobbies to play on. And you may wonder, well, are they still as easy on the Switch 2? And yes, they are. On the Switch 2, Fortnite finally runs at 60 FPS. No 120, unfortunately, but I have faith that maybe Epic might be able to optimize the game a little more and maybe give a future update where maybe they give a performance mode and allow the game to run at 120 FPS, especially with that nice screen that the Switch 2 has that has a 120 Hz display. I think Fortnite would make great use of that display. I do have a 120 Hz monitor, so it would be nice to play Fortnite at 120 Hz, but I'm not bothered by the 60 FPS. I think 60 FPS is just fine. There are more third-party games that I also tested on the Switch 2. Games like Ashen. Ashen did not run at 60 FPS. It really felt like 30 and it felt very choppy. But now playing it on the Switch 2, the game runs so much better, much improved. I think I'm actually going to enjoy this game playing on the Switch 2 because I really have not gone too far into it. Another game that I also tested, Resident Evil Revelations 2. I played Revelations 1 on the Switch 1, and that was a joy to play, except Revelations 2 ran like freaking garbage on the Switch 1. There were some areas where it just ran horrendous, and I just stopped playing it because I was like, I'm not having an enjoyable experience with the performance. And here's the thing, I'm not a graphics snob, I'm not a performance snob, I just want the game to run good. I'm not going to be tripping if a game runs at 30 FPS. If the 30 FPS is incredibly smooth and the input delay is minimal, I honestly don't care. But when there's consistent drops, it's choppy, then I care. But Revelations 2, I'm happy to tell you, that runs at a silky smooth 60 FPS. So I'm definitely finally enjoying that game the way I'm supposed to on the Switch 2. Another game that I also tested is a game that really many people don't play on anymore. And I really haven't seen a lot of conversation on this game on YouTube. And I mean, fair enough. I mean, it's not a hugely popular game, but I actually play a lot of Call of Duty. But there's a game that kind of scratches that itch a little bit called Warface. And Warface, unfortunately, still runs at 30 FPS, and it's at 720p. So blown up on the Switch 2 and docked doesn't look the best. Honestly, the input delay is like almost non-existent. I feel like on the Switch 1 there was a massive input delay, and you could not be accurate. I feel like in this game, even though it's at 30 FPS with the Switch 2 Pro controller, I mean, I feel like I was super accurate when I was playing this game. I was actually shocked. I was like, wow, this is the most smooth 30 FPS I've ever played. This is kind of impressive. I really hope that the developers of Warface still care enough about the game to put a patch out to update the Switch 2 to 60 FPS, because maybe I might dive into this game a little more. But apparently Call of Duty is supposed to come to the Switch 2 eventually. I'm actually curious to see how that game's going to run on the Switch 2. I'm kind of scared, but we'll see. And I feel like that game could really take advantage of the Joy-Con 2 mouse controls. I folded for the Switch 2 Pro controller. I saw a review on it, and I heard someone say that it was the smoothest thumbsticks that they had ever used. For a second, I was like, yeah, they're just glazing the controller, they're just glazing Nintendo. But then I was like, all right, I had some extra money laying around. I said, okay, why not just try it? If I hate the controller, I hate the controller. So I ended up buying it, and believe it or not, the statement of the thumbsticks being incredibly smooth is actually very true. I was shocked. I mean, I love the DualSense controller on the PS5. The DualSense is actually my favorite controller ever made. I love the thumbsticks on that thing, but man, the Switch 2 thumbsticks, the Switch 2 Pro controller in itself, I was like, dang, this is actually a really, 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 really good controller. And the fact that it has 2 back buttons is awesome. And you can program those back buttons to each game. So every time you boot up the game, the controller automatically knows to load up that profile. And obviously, we can't forget about GameCube Online. There's only very few games. There's only Wind Waker, Soul Calibur X, F-Zero, and of course, Mario Strikers. I've been having a lot of fun on Mario Strikers. I actually never got to play Mario Strikers on the GameCube. I actually never owned a GameCube. So this is a console that I finally get to dive into some games that I've never played before. And Mario Strikers has been a blast. F-Zero is freaking awesome. I've never played Wind Waker, so I'm waiting to finish up my playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom. Let's get into some of the concerns of the console itself. So I've heard a lot of people say that the Switch 2, it has no games. There's no games. It's only Mario Kart World and that's it. Guys, the Switch 1 had no games either. I mean, it had, what, Breath of the Wild, 1-2 Switch, and some, like, Super Bomberman, I think that's what the game was called. Those are, like, the 3 games that are on the Switch 1 at launch. Like, Breath of the Wild was really it. I think the Switch 2 has an advantage with this lineup because of the backwards compatibility. And here's the thing, if you already have 300 hours in Mario Kart World, go outside. Get off the video game. Go touch some grass, bro. Like, video games are not the only thing in the world that exists. Like, you're probably playing this thing too much if you're already burnt out on it. Now, trust me, I've sunk in like 80 hours in the Mario Kart World. I'm still not tired of it. That's just me. But people are like, I have nothing to play on it. Honestly, I have lots of stuff to play on it. Like Tears of the Kingdom, I got it originally on the Switch 1 when it came out, and I stopped playing it because I got tired of how bad the game ran on the Switch 1. It was horrendous. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait for a Switch 2 port because I already knew that they were gonna do some enhanced port of the next whenever Nintendo did their next console. And they did. Wait was absolutely worth it, because now I'm enjoying the game in its full glory, the way it was supposed to be made. Part of me is like, you know what, Nintendo should have just waited to launch Tears of the Kingdom with the Switch 2. They should have just waited. I think it would have been a much better launch, and people would have probably received it better, in my honest opinion. There's a lot of stuff to play on the Switch 2. Like, if you have a backlog of games that you have not played on your Switch 1, now is the best time to play those games. On much better hardware, the games will run better. So get into that backlog. Don't worry, we have Donkey Kong Bonanza coming out in a little over a week, and I know that game's gonna be freaking fire, because the team that made Mario Odyssey worked on that game. It's literally gonna be Mario Odyssey, but with Donkey Kong. So I mean, Mario Odyssey was an incredible game. Mario Odyssey is in my top 10 best games I've ever played. So now here's the verdict. Is the Switch 2 really worth it? In my honest opinion, for me, yes. I've absolutely been enjoying my time with this console. Now I know there's been a lot of hate on the internet. In this day and age on the internet, I feel like the reason why the Switch 2 has had this kind of launch, especially with all the hate that it's received, it's because where we are at now with the internet. We live in a day and age where, God forbid, somebody have an opinion, right? God forbid somebody have a different opinion than you. If you're on the fence about getting a Switch 2, my advice to you, don't be on the internet as much. Enjoy what you want to enjoy. I feel like too much on the internet, we're focused on telling everybody how they should think, how they should enjoy stuff, how much they should enjoy something. It's ridiculous, dude. Like, the internet is such a toxic place. Like, play the games you want to play. If you genuinely enjoy Mario Kart World, that's great. If you genuinely don't like the game, okay, that's your opinion. If you genuinely don't want to get a Switch 2 because of the price point, all power to you, man. You don't want the console. Nobody's forcing you to buy it. No one's holding you hostage. If you want to get it, great. I think the price of the console itself is fairly priced, and I stand by that. Price of the games, again, I am torn by that. I'm still kind of concerned. Time will tell how that's going to end up. I don't know how that's going to go. I still think $80 is kind of freaking ridiculous. You have a huge backlog of Switch games that you have not played yet, that you've been wanting to play. I really think playing on the Switch 2 is a much better experience, and I really recommend that if you can get one, I would get one. Don't be so much on the internet. Get off the internet from time to time, and don't let people influence how you think and what you should like and what you should enjoy. If you genuinely enjoy something, great. All power to you. If you don't enjoy it and you don't want to get it, that's fine too. So thank you guys. If you guys made it all the way to this point in the video, like and subscribe if you guys like the content. I do stream from time to time, and I've been streaming a lot of Mario Kart World, especially Fortnite as well on the Switch 2, because Switch 2 lobbies are much easier. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.